Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samlin. I'm the principal of Samlin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud lawyers who care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Erica Burten of Erica Burten Law. She is based in Westport, Connecticut, and Erica is dedicated to helping clients navigate an array of complex family law matters, including collaborative divorce and litigation. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you for having me, Andrew. Nice to be here.
So, Erica, tell us about how you came to the law.
Well, it was a natural progression. I always was told that I had a very strong argumentative side, but truth be known, I always wanted to help people. And so law was a natural venue for me to be able to do so. And I'd always worked in domestic violence matters in undergraduate and in law school. And I naturally ended up in family law after doing a lot of alternative dispute resolution cases and trainings, and learned that most cases in family law resolve without having to actually go to trial. Not to say you don't go to court, but you end up working together and resolving issues, which is what I always wanted to do. And in family law, you are really able to help people on a one-to-one basis. So that's how I ended up in the law, and specifically family law.
And so you have almost bookended, at least as far as our introduction goes, you've bookended the family law options where you're on litigation all the way on one side and then collaborative on the other. Can you share with the audience what some of those differences are and how you manage those two?
Sure. They're both, everyone thinks that when you say non-adversarial, which is a collaborative divorce method, which is, also mediation is a non-adversarial method as well, which I do practice, but non-adversarial doesn't mean that you don't have conflict. And in collaborative, which is a process of a private process whereby you have two attorneys, one for each party, and a mental health professional and a financial neutral. And you take a team approach to resolving issues that are going on in a divorce, but you're able to tailor them and have control over the outcome of your own divorce and your future family and what that's going to look like. And it's very successful because you don't have a third person, a judge, making decisions for your family who has very little knowledge of the intricacies and the dynamics of your family. And each case is different. Every family is different. So being able to utilize all the professions in a process is really helpful. And people always say, oh, it's so much money. Well, it's actually a lot less money. The neutral professionals charge less than the attorneys. They have special skills. They are able to streamline things, and you're able to sit down and resolve things on a timeline that also works for you. If you avail yourself to court, you're subject to scheduling and whims of everybody else involved in the court system. So collaborative is confidential. You sign an agreement that you are working on this process, that it's confidential. However, if it does fail, you have to start all over again. The attorneys are conflicted out. You are able to take the work product with you so that it's not a complete loss in that regard. And oftentimes, collaborative divorces will end with some issue that might be unresolved, but there are a lot of issues that are resolved. So it's not a complete loss in terms of a process. But I find personally, it's very rare for a collaborative process to fail because everyone's invested, especially the attorneys and the other professionals, in the family's success. Mm-hmm. I think litigation is one of the processes that everybody is familiar with, but I don't think people understand what it really involves. It's a long process. You have two attorneys, and hopefully you align yourself with an attorney who is settlement oriented and resolution oriented. And that doesn't mean that you're giving up, but that you're not in the process of litigation for the purposes of fighting and extending a divorce process.
Right. But sometimes that narrative gets lost, as we're all human, and, emotions are emotions. And I think you're about to tell us some story about, how it's not always so wonderful. Do you want to share some of that?
Sure, of course. So, when you're in litigation, as I said before, there are generally complex issues involved. Sometimes it is jurisdictional issues, sometimes it's custody issues. Um, I have been lucky enough, and I say lucky, to have had these issues come up because I find the academic challenge of it is very interesting as well, which is something great about my profession as a lawyer in family law, is because the facts are different in each case, it really allows to delve into the intricacies of each party's issues. Most recently, I was involved in a case, and I started off as review counsel. There was a mediation going on. I was hired as review counsel. The two parties were involved with a very well-known mediator. There was not full discovery taken. And while I was reviewing this agreement and factors, certain things weren't adding up. Expenses weren't adding up to income. And as more and more information was requested, the process ended up going on very long. And one of the parties had during the process moved to another state. And even though the couple was in Connecticut doing the mediation, the other spouse filed for divorce in a state that had less advantageous rulings and law that applied to the case. And so then we, in turn, had to
Hold on,
file
less advantageous to the other party.
to my client, who I was representing as review counsel.
Yeah.
And it was a quite high net worth matter. And we ended up filing in Connecticut because that's where the marriage had taken place. That's where the mediation, my client still lived there. The family home was still there. And so then we had a competing jurisdictional matter. And from there, you can only imagine, there needed to be counsel in two states for two parties and arguing about jurisdiction. And then finally, after arguing and putting things off, that's what attorneys do, and that's what judges do. Nobody wants to have to make a very difficult decision as a judge. The parties finally agreed that we would engage in a private mediation. Now, the private mediation, again, was with a retired judge. And so we're talking about all different kinds of process. Motions were filed with the courts. We're dealing with private mediation. And we have to agree upon a jurisdiction because the laws are so different. And so what ends up happening was we went to this private mediation with a retired judge with all counsel. So we had 6 attorneys, a financial neutral, involved in this one divorce that started off as a mediation. So it was really fascinating to see how we were able to use the different laws and mediate and have different concepts involved in strategizing assets and who got what under what law, what kind of spousal support there would be, just everything moving forward. So it was a quite interesting case. The client at first thought she was getting one particular outcome in the mediation and was ready to sign, and ended up putting herself in a position, I think, 4 times greater than what she thought she was going to be entitled to in the mediation. So knowledge really is power, and putting yourself with somebody who can help you if you're not savvy as to what's going on, which most people are not, thankfully. They're only going through divorce. Well, most likely, if they're going through their first divorce at this point, they're not really aware as to what to ask for, what documents to ask for, what factors are involved, how long the marriage was. Does that have anything to do with spousal support or asset division? If the person didn't work, what is it going to look like? There's a lot of fear. You said emotions. And so things rise. So even though we were able to resolve it in this private mediation, I can't begin to tell you how many times my client, after getting a better outcome, was still so hesitant to agree to the final judgment because of the fact that there are so many high emotions involved.
Mhm.
And what is life going to look like after divorce? It's very
Yeah.
scary, that change.
For sure. Again, thanks to my guest, Erica Burten from Erica Burten Law in Connecticut. Erica, can you provide our audience with your contact information?
Sure. It's Erica at ericaburtonlaw.com. And it's ericaburtonlaw.com is my website. My telephone number is 203-836-1138. And, the way we work is if somebody calls, we offer a consultation. And there is a fee for the consultation. But then if you retain me, you get the money back in terms of a free complimentary hour of time. And I find that allows my time to be valued, and also the appreciation of a client trusting me as their representative moving forward.
Wonderful. This has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And as you can see, Erica fits that perfectly. If you're an attorney or know one who goes above and beyond, feel free to reach out to us, 914-666-6600. Number again, 914-666-6600. Erica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.